Hello everybody! We are here today to talk about financial documents that have been filed with the, my favorite regulatory authority, the Securities and Exchange Commission. As you will see on this, first document we're looking at here, the top of the document says Stonebridge ARD, June 25th, 2020. Now, what this document is essentially a disclosure form that most private companies have to file with, this regulatory authority in order to let the government and the public know what's going on in these businesses, right? There's certain information you have to include, and, this is just one of those forms. The first time I saw this particular ADV form, I don't know that I'd ever seen one before, but I was kind of familiar with what the purpose was supposed to be, and it was just about a month after they filed this ARD that I saw it for the first time. So I got into the Free Britney movement in July 2020, so this would have been filed at the end of June 2020. Now, as a lot of y'all know, the new fiscal year has come and gone for many companies, and that means they have to file new ADV forms. Each year you have to file these. So I heard the other day that Stonebridge Investment Counsel, which is the same thing as Stonebridge Wealth Management, they're not like subsidiaries or anything, like they're the same exact company that just happened to have shared two different names over the years. Girl. Anyway. So what we're looking at here is that one from 2020. Now, I heard the other day through the grapevine that Stonebridge had uploaded their 2021 version of this form, and I was told that pretty much nothing changed and everything was the same. So I've always wanted to go through this form with y'all, and I've always wanted to try to explain it, but to be honest, I'm really not super familiar with these documents. I've only just looked at these for Stonebridge like 1,000 times. So I do want to go through some of the notes that I had handwritten. These are just scanned pages. So I have handwritten, look up at the top, it says Stonebridge, ARD, whatever. As we go through, there's going to be certain notes. Some notes are going to be important. Some notes are going to be like, don't even pay attention to it. It was probably just some errant thought. Okay. So just starting at the top, you're going to get the identifying information. You get, what's the name of the company? Stonebridge Investment Counsel, LLC. You see they're going, primary business name, they're going by Stonebridge Wealth Management up here, but Stonebridge Investment Counsel, LLC. Down here, name under which you primarily conduct your advisory business. So their advising is done under Stonebridge Wealth Management. We're definitely not going to go through everything, but I think we should go through some of these important things. So this is just sort of like, who should we contact? Just that really administrative stuff. Where are the books and records located? And then you'll see we get to this very first note that I have written, and it is the section, item 2, and the SEC is basically asking, are you a large advisory firm, or are you a mid-sized advisory firm, or, pick from the rest of these things. Stonebridge here picks and checks the box that they're a large advisory firm that has assets under management of $100 million or more. So I asked, did this just change in 2020? I think now that I'm looking at it, the answer is no. They probably did have more than 100 million. I don't know how much more. I mean, I think maybe 125, 150 million. I don't think that they had much more than that. But then last year, of course, we did see that they increased their assets under management, which is something that we're going to get to in this document. If it doesn't make sense to you right now, don't worry. Just trying to mark a couple of important things here. All right, so this is something we also still know about. Let me see, let me make sure this is on the screen. Okay, can you see that? That'd be so annoying, right? Okay. Okay. So, okay, here we are. It's asking on this questionnaire about employees, and it says approximately how many employees do you have? Include full-time and part-time employees, but do not include any clerical workers. A clerical worker would be like a secretary, a legal assistant, someone who's an office manager, someone who just kind of takes care of the clerical items around, maybe formats Word documents, stuff like that. The SEC doesn't care about that person. But they do want to know who's working for this advisory firm. So they say there's 3 people working there. And then the SEC asks how many of these employees perform investment advisory functions. Now, if you'll remember, used to be Lou Taylor worked at this investment firm. For 9 years, she was an investment advisor at this firm. And she was one of, presumably, just a handful of employees. And now we don't have 2 people performing investment advisory functions. We don't have 3 people performing investment advisory functions. We only have 2 people doing that. I don't know who those could be. Probably Tyler Martin and someone else. I think that Mitch is actually registered as like a broker, but we'll double check that later. And how many investment advisor representatives do you have? Investment advisor representative is sort of similar to an investment advisor. It's just a little bit more responsibility and more regulatory stuff with the investment advisor, and you can have you do a few more things. But it's like, for all intents and purposes, you're someone who's providing these consulting services in some way, shape, or form to clients. Okay, so approximately how many firms or other people solicit advisory clients on your behalf? So they say none. And as we have found out before, Stonebridge only accepts clients on a strictly referral basis, according to their brochure and their website. So they're saying here again, we do not solicit clients. That means, I'm assuming that means clients come to them, or they just steal clients out from under like conservatorships. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. All I know is they don't, allegedly, according to them, and I have to believe they're telling the truth, I guess, but nobody is soliciting clients. Here's probably the most important part of what we're going to talk about today. There's a lot of arrows and things, but just stay with me here. Okay. If you look at letter C, approximately how many clients for whom you do not have regulatory assets under management did you provide investment advisory services to? Okay, that question doesn't matter. So moving on. I could explain it one day, but it's just not important to what we're doing here. And then it asks, this is important. Number 2, C2, write it down. Take your notebook out, put it down. C2, also, this form is no longer available on the SEC website. They only keep up 1 year of forms at a time, and this one's gone. So if you want this one, you're going to have to get this one with my handwriting on it. Sorry. But I did tell a lot of people that. So hopefully a lot of y'all do have it printed out in clean copies. Okay, so C2 is important. I'm not going to tell you why it's important yet, but just remember, what percentage of the clients are non-U.S. persons? So I'm assuming that means something like, people who are not in the United States or people who are not United States citizens. It says, what percentage of your clients are non-United States persons? 0%. That means none. Okay. Then you look at D. For purposes of this item, the category, quote, individual. So what does an individual include? Stay with me here. The SEC in the ADV form defines an individual as a trust, an estate, a 401k, an IRA of individual, and their family members, okay? So what they're about to answer questions about are going to be about individuals. And remember, when you see the word individual means all of the following things. Trusts, estates, right? That's what we're dealing with in Britney's conservatorship. the SJB Trust that Jamie Lynn Spears was the trustee of, and now Sam Ingham is guardian ad litem, and the estate, right? The conservatorship of the estate. So trusts and estates count as individuals in this chart that we're about to read. Just remember, trusts are individuals, okay? Okay. All right. It does not include businesses organized as sole proprietorships. I'm not like super, good at explaining the difference between like the, types of businesses, LLCs and proprietorships, partnerships, whatever. But from what I understand, a sole proprietorship is basically just like an entity that isn't easily separable from the individual who owns it. It's kind of like one owner. It's a one man or woman or person show. And like that's the business is them and they're the business. I can't give you any examples, but whatever. Those things aren't included. But for Britney's case, if we're trying to decipher if any of Britney's money is here, it doesn't matter because I don't think any of her entities are sole proprietorships that I've found. None of them are. They all have other people as managers, directors, officers, etc. All right, the category business development companies consists of companies. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure this isn't important. Okay. So then the SEC says, indicate the approximate number of your clients, an amount for your total regulatory assets under management attributable to each of the following type of clients. So they're asking about the types of clients that Stonebridge, aka Mitch Martin, and formerly for 9 years Lou Taylor, managed money for. Then the SEC says the aggregate, which means, the total, add it all up, amount of regulatory assets under management. Assets under management means how many dollars does this particular entity have control over or guardianship over or whatever, right? Like how many dollars did other people trust you with? And it's a big deal, right? Like if you're going to try to put your money somewhere, if $10 billion worth of people put their money somewhere, like maybe that's more trustworthy. I don't know if that's actually true, but I think it's something to do, with psychology. So it's a big deal to report your assets under management. You got to tell the government, you got to tell potential investors, you got to tell your clients, you got to tell everybody. So he's saying the aggregate amount of regulatory assets under management should equal the total amount of regulatory assets under management. Okay, I don't know. That's some accounting thing. If a client fits into more than one category, select one category that most accurately represents the client to avoid double counting clients. So they're not supposed to double count clients. Okay. So let's just get into this chart, shall we? Move it up a little bit so y'all can see it. Sorry. All right. It's a little bit difficult to see, but I'm going to read it. So the first category, A, individuals other than high net worth individuals, right? And remember, individuals doesn't mean human being people only. It can mean a trust. It can mean an estate. It can mean a 401k. It can mean family members or something. It can mean all kind of things. So do you have any of those things? Trusts, estates, people, family members, anything of that, who are not considered to be high net worth individuals. I do not know what a high net worth individual is. I probably should have looked it up before this. I mean, we could actually, we got the internet. What is a... exceed a given amount. Typically, individuals are defined as holding financial assets, not including their house, their primary residence, with a value of greater than $1 million. Okay, so how much money does he manage of people? How many people? This is about how many people. How many clients does Stonebridge have who are worth less than $1 million or who have less than $1 million in his custody? 35. How many clients have more than $1 million in Stonebridge's care? 44. Okay, nothing to see here. But then, if you look at these little notes I have made here, I'm just pointing out that they're saying that so I assume, I'm making a deduction, and this is just an assumption, right, based on every conceivable thing I've seen. Britney Spears is definitely worth more than $1 million, and she likely has more than $1 million in this trust. Now, that's just speculation, but she would definitely be fitting into this high net worth individuals category if you were to ask me. I mean, I'm not an expert here. I've just, but high net worth individuals, right? That includes trusts, estates, it doesn't include sole proprietorships. And of those 44 clients, they have together $683 million worth of assets under Stonebridge's management. So there's 35 clients, and between all those 35, and listen, the client could be a trust, an estate. Don't forget that. Their client doesn't mean a human in this context. They have 35 whatevers, and those represent 4.3 million. Then they have 44 high net worth whatever, and those represent 683 million. I know I'm harping on this, but it's very important because you're going to see why in a minute. Okay. So then the SEC goes on ahead and says, oh, well, this real quick, this just tells you how they calculate their fees. So this is actually pretty important. Compensation, right? A lot of this talking about the conservatorship has a ton to do with the fact that, where's the money? Everybody has a financial incentive. Everybody has a money incentive here. Everybody. So how are Stonebridge fees calculated? And remember, this is Lou Taylor's firm for 9 years. She was an investment advisor. She was the vice president, executive vice president, listed as, with as recently as 2013 with the SEC. How do they get paid? They're compensated for their investment advisory services by percentage of assets under management, right? So the more money that they have custody of a person. So like, let's say, I go over there and I say, hey, I have $10 I want you to invest. They say like, oh, well, that's going to cost you $1. But then if I come over there with like $500, they're going to be like, well, that's going to cost, a little more than $1, right? So that's what they're saying. So the more money of yours that they have, the more fees they're going to collect. How else do they get compensated? Oh, hourly, also hourly. Interesting. So they're billing you hourly. They're billing you by how much money you have stored with them. How else are they billing you? Fixed fees. I wonder what that means. I have no idea. Fixed fees, who knows? Seems like it's pretty ordinary since it's a box you can check, but I don't know what that means. Perhaps it's like those floor fees that, Lou Taylor's TriStar Sports and Entertainment tried to put on Jamie Spears and said, oh no, the fixed fee, you're going to have to pay at least $500,000. I don't know. Could be different. I have no idea. So this is a really important part right here. Do you know? Okay. Number 2, what is the amount of your regulatory assets under management and total number of accounts? So this is asking like the whole shebang, how much money do you have under your control or your, whatever, under your management? 722 million. Okay, so there's 3 numbers you need to remember. Just 2, actually. 2 numbers you need to remember. First number you need to remember, 683 million. 683 million is the amount of assets under management for high net worth individuals. If we're trying to narrow in on where Britney Spears' money is, I think we might want to look in that category, right? That's just I don't know. I'm just reading tea leaves here. 683 million, right? So you can just call it 600 million-ish. And they have a total of 722 million under their management, okay? So total, whole shebang, they have 722 million under management. And 680 of it is from high net worth individuals, okay? This is going to be important eventually, I promise. Advisory activities. So these are just the things that they say that they do. So if you provide financial planning services, how many clients did you provide these services to during your last fiscal year, your last financial year? 1 to 10. I don't know why I thought that was important at the time, but I did, so I wrote the note. Okay, now this is super important. Now, we're going to have to call into mind this SJB trust for this portion. The question here asks, KI asks, do you, and you means Stonebridge, have regulatory assets under management that are attributable to clients other than those listed in those separately managed accounts? So the separately managed accounts are investment companies, business development companies, and pooled investment vehicles. I honestly don't even really know what F is, and I kind of sort of only know what E is, but like, I don't think it's like that important because they answer yes. So do you have assets under management attributable to clients other than these three things, right? So a client, you remember how we said like, oh, the client could be this company, it could be this type of entity, it could be this thing. Well, this kind of seems like maybe they're asking about human clients. I don't know, maybe, I don't know. And then they're going to complete a schedule later. Okay, so here comes the trust. Look at number 4. After subtracting the amounts of 5D, 3D, F, above from your total regulatory assets under management, does any custodian hold 10% or more of this remaining amount of regulatory assets under management? So this is just a fancy way of asking, does anybody that's not you actually have control over more than 10% of this money? And Mitch answers yes. And who do we think that is? Well, my first thought is perhaps National Financial Services, but we'll see. So basically Mitch says yes. Once we do these calculations or whatever, more than 10% of the assets that we have under our management are actually with custodians, which means they handed the money off to somebody else, another bank or another firm, or, I don't know, somebody else who's not Stonebridge. So like they're claiming to have these assets under management, but then they've given them off to a custodian, which I'm like, why couldn't whoever that was just have gone straight to that custodian? I'm not really sure. Maybe it's because it required a middleman. Maybe it was a conservatorship. Maybe it was a trust. I don't know. Okay. So what types of assets? Now we're going to talk about the types of assets that they have under management. We did have the total amount of assets under management. Now we're going to talk about how those assets are sort of allocated and accounted for within Stonebridge's assets under management. So if you look at B, number 1, exchange traded equity securities. So that's 6%. Exchange traded equity securities. I think that means just like regular stocks. Exchange traded equity securities? Yeah, just like things you trade on like a e-trader or whatever fancy thing that Stonebridge would be. I don't know. I think that's just like regular stocks, right? 6% doesn't seem like a lot, but then I'm like, maybe it's like they have a portfolio. Let's keep going down the list. Okay. U.S. state and local bonds, that's pretty common, 3%. U.S. government, bonds, okay, fine. Those are safe things to invest in. That makes sense. Investment grade corporate bonds, non-investment grade corporate bonds. Derivatives, I don't know what that means. Securities issued by registered investment companies, 3%. But all these percentages are so low. So I kind of just kept waiting, like, when's the ball going to drop here? Because 6%, 3%, 1%, it's going to take a lot to add up to 100. And then you get down here to this box, I don't know how to read Roman numerals, XI. Cash and other cash equivalents, 87%. What? Cash and cash equivalents, 87%. So they're telling us that of the, where are we at here? $700 million under their management, $722 million under their management. 87% of it is cash and cash assets. Like the easiest thing possible, the easiest thing imaginable to launder or do anything where you could buy a bunch of diamonds and then sell the diamonds. You could buy real estate, sell the real estate. You can do a lot with cash. And I could be reading this form wrong. I have never been actually educated or taught how to read these. But it looks to me like Stonebridge has has under their management, as far as this year goes, 87% of 722 million, whatever that number is, like several hundred million, of just cash just sitting around. they're doing with it. Why would you just have cash? Like, it doesn't even seem like a good invest. Like, if I'm bringing my money to an investment advisor, wouldn't I want it to be in these exchange traded or the bonds? And I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. But I do think it is interesting that 87% of the assets under their management are cash and cash assets, or cash equivalents. Sorry, I've been saying assets, my bad. All right. Okay. So remember that question earlier where it said, is more than 10% of your thing under a custodian? And they said, yeah. So now they're having to answer a little bit more questions about that. How much of that money is with a custodian? And look at here, down at the bottom left, 393 million, I guess. No, $601,393,241. $600 million of that 683 from earlier is actually sitting with this company called National Financial Services. Now, I know this because I've researched it. National Financial Services is a sort of sister, subsidiary, affiliate, whatever you want to call it, of Fidelity Global Brokerage, which is a reputable firm that has a lot of, assets under management. The National Financial Services does not provide investment advising services. Because I read their ADV forms. So I can deduce from that Stonebridge must be the one providing the investment advising services. So I don't know if anyone over there is actually qualified to be an investment advisor. You know what I mean? That's what I'm kind of trying to figure out. But that's kind of in the weeds. The important part here is 601 million. Like, let me back up. The way that people decide, the way that rich people decide where they're going to put their money, who they're going to leave their money with, think about it. If you're a rich person, you might be, or you might be able to think like one or something. If you have, I don't know, for example, $683 million, I don't know, even $1 million, and you want to bring it to somebody somewhere to make it grow, to be a good investment, to be smart, and all of that. What are some of the factors you might take into consideration? Well, one might be who else has their money over here, right? Like if Bill Gates and Warren Buffett have their money in here, like I'm probably going to put it in there. Another one would be, does it have institutional backing? Is my employer using this, or advising this, or I don't know, maybe you could decide where to put your money based on how much money the company that you are, or the entity, the business, the advising firm that you're about to invest your money with. Maybe you might consider how much money they actually manage. You're like, you know what? This guy only manages $40,000. I don't really know about him, but this lady over here manages $700 million. Like, maybe, she might know what she's doing, right? It's just kind of like, people take this stuff into consideration. If you think about the sophistication level of some of these clients, I mean, we know Lou Taylor's clients are athletes and entertainers who often didn't go to finance school. They don't know how to do this investment stuff. They're trusting the professionals. So they might look at $700 million and think, wow, you know what? This is reputable AF. But then when you really get into the brass tacks of this thing, National Financial Services is holding 600 of those $1 million. Like just sitting over there being held by somebody else, hopefully being invested well, but like essentially like this firm really only like day-to-day manages 100-something million, right, as of last year. Okay. I think we're almost getting to the part of, we're done here. Okay. Do you or any related person recommend brokers or dealers to clients? And they said yes. That's important because I think it's probably in FS. Now you have to think about Stonebridge outside of just the conservatorship. Stonebridge isn't equal with the conservatorship. It just is perhaps affiliated with this trust or, dealing with it. Stonebridge has its own clients and its own world and its own universe outside of any of this, right? And so one thing that we do know from reading the exhibit attached to Jamie Lynn's petition to pull the money into blocked accounts, one thing we do know is Stonebridge, Fidelity, aka National Financial Services, has a deal with their investment advisors where the more clients they bring, the more people that Stonebridge brings into Fidelity as clients, like basically just taking somebody's money and handing it over to Fidelity, the more clients and the more money that, the more clients and the more money, sorry, I lost my train of thought. The more clients and the more money that Stonebridge and any client is able to bring in to Fidelity, the less fees that Stonebridge is going to pay, the better treatment Stonebridge is going to get, the better rates Stonebridge is going to get. So they have a very big financial incentive. And in fact, Fidelity Global Brokerage has a whole disclaimer. And if you want to see it, go to my Google Drive. It's public in my Twitter bio. And look for the petition filed by Jamie Lynn to move this trust money into blocked accounts. When you look at that document, you're going to flip to the back and see some exhibits. In those exhibits, one of them is going to be a disclosure statement, a statement to Jamie Lynn as the trustee from Fidelity, who's going to be the custodian, saying, hey, your investment advisor has some conflicts of interest. For example, they get paid more the faster they bring clients in, or they get a better rate. They get more preferential treatment the more money they bring into our firm. And in fact, Fidelity tells Jamie Lynn this in this trustee agreement and says, there are possible conflicts of interest. You have a responsibility to ask your investment advisor, what's up? What is going on? Because, here, do you recommend dealers or brokers to clients? And I think from what I have been able to piece together, and this is just my thought, I have no, solid facts here, but I think that Stonebridge recommends all of its clients to use NFS as its broker so that they can negotiate those fees. And honestly, it's a smart business move. It saves them money. I mean, it's not a bad idea, but it does create conflicts of interest. Okay. Do you have custody of any advisory clients' cash or bank accounts? So they say no, that they don't have bank account access. So what is this cash money that they have? Could it be cash that's sitting in, I don't know, a trust? I don't know. I have no idea. I don't know. In connection with the society? No. Okay. Okay, so now they ask for disciplinary history. Have you ever been disciplined? Stonebridge says no. What else? You're organized. Direct owners and executive officers. They only list Mitchell Martin, but I do think at some time they used to list Lou Taylor. Somehow, some way that ended up on broker check, and we can go look at that, if we have time. I feel like it's going to take forever, but I don't really know what this "so Lou just walked out for $0" thing is. I feel like I'm wasting time right now, so I don't really know what that's about. Just disregard that. Okay, and now we see. Okay, now we see who signs the form. As usual, Mitchell S. Martin. He signed it, dated it on June 25th, 2020. He is calling himself the Chief Compliance Officer. Okay, so now that we saw that, I'm going to go back up to the top. Okay, just to remind everybody, and some people may be here for the first time, so just to let you know, we found on this website, I may even be able to find it, just do a whole visual here. Wouldn't that be nice? A little show and tell. Let's see, Stonebridge Investment Counsel, AUM. Investment Counsel. Did they delete it? Y'all, is that website finally gone? Let's see. Oh, is this it? WT. Wow. Let's try Stonebridge Wealth Management. This is crazy. I might just be typing in the wrong thing. Let me see this. Hold on, one more try. Wow. It is gone. Well, guess what? The internet is forever, and I have several. Actually, I don't know why I spent all that time. Y'all know I got my handy dandy. The internet might last forever. But as long as there's no fire, so does paper. All right. So you'll remember this from Tim O. Spears Live. It was like the first or second live I ever did. So fun. There's just like some report I printed off the internet. There's not a government forum, so just so you know. And it kind of just talks about information that we already knew, right? What does it line up with? That ADV form. Let me find a pen. That ADV form. Nope. Okay, sorry. What does it say? Assets under management, $722 million. See that? So it does line up with what we just saw on the government website. And look at what happens to their assets under management. So they say it's 700, and look, they say total assets under management here. Sorry, the page got cut off. But the next page is this chart. And look what happens right in or around the year 2019 or 2020. Okay? So to me, it looks a little bit like in 2020, they went from managing about $145 million to $722 million. That's what it looks like to me. You tell me. And that's why in this form, I said the following question. When they were saying they're a large advisory firm that manages over $100 million, I was like, how many millions did they have before Britney Spears money? Now later I found this and realized it was probably a little bit more than 100 million, so it didn't change. But why is that important? That's important because of the timeline. Jamie Spears and Andrew Wallet amended Britney Spears' trust in 2018. The trust was called the SJB Revocable Trust. The trust is alleged to contain all of Britney's pre-2008 assets. Possibly cash. I don't know. Another thing you should understand about trusts is the purpose of a trust. The reason for a trust is so that the beneficiary, the person who the money belongs to or the property in the trust belongs to, can say what should happen to their assets, what should happen to that property. That's the whole purpose of a trust. It's so that you don't end up having your family members fighting each other over your shit once you're dead. That's the point of a trust, okay? It's the point of a trust. So Britney Spears gets put in this conservatorship in 2008. In 2018, Andrew Wallet, Jamie Spears roll up into the courthouse and amend the trust. They amend the trust in two ways. First of all, they just changed the trustee. It used to be this dude named Ivan. I don't know who he is. Now it's Jamie Lynn Spears, according to, as of 2018. Another thing they did was pretty much created a mechanism whereby Jamie Lynn could take all the money and the property of the trust and give it over to an investment advisor to then give over to Fidelity, okay? That's what it was. That's how it lined up, okay? Let's actually, so I don't get sued for defamation, we can just go on ahead to it. See it ourselves. We will see. All right, there's Stonebridge. 2020. Oops. Okay. It was around August. So, there it is. This is how you're seeing behind the magic. You're seeing how it goes, y'all. So this is Jamie Lynn's petition, and it shows, that the hearing was not set until November 2nd, right? But look how early she filed it. She filed it August 21st, let the whole world know. Look up here at the top. August 21st, she let the whole world know. In November, come November, I'm going to be asking to move my sister's trust money into a blocked account, okay? What these circus clowns didn't realize, and I ain't talking about Jamie Lynn, I think she just probably trusted Lou, okay? I'm talking about, the orchestrators, the real masterminds here. What they did was pretty much, right, change the, here's the trust, here's these other things. I have a whole video on this, so I don't really want to go through this trust. Appointment of Jamie Lynn Spears as the trustee, a bunch of other shady stuff. We could go through it again. But the main purpose, the main thing that's important here, she signed it here on August 18th, a mere 6 days after I made my first TikTok exposing that Lou Taylor was an investment advisor for a firm named Stonebridge Investment Counsel. So now we get to some exhibits. Order granting petition for substituted judgment. Basically what had happened was Jamie Lynn Jamie Spears and Andrew Wallach came into the court and said, we want to step into the shoes of Britney Spears and make a decision for her, which was inappropriate in my opinion. Britney said what she wanted done with that money before she was in a conservatorship, and they have gone against her wishes. Let's look at Exhibit B. Cover page for Exhibit B is real interesting. First Amendment to SJB Revocable Trust. No, let's look at Exhibit C. This is a super interesting document. Like, y'all should really watch the video about it. It's very important. Okay, well, would you look at that? So just a few days earlier from when this was filed, I made a TikTok saying that Lou Taylor had been an investment advisor for Stonebridge Investment Counsel. I, exposed the videos and all this stuff, right? Just a few days later, we have Jamie Lynn filing to move Britney's money from her trust, the SJB trust, which is probably a lot of money, maybe even a lot of cash. And the exhibit name here that they're calling this account that the money's going into is called the Stonebridge SJB Separately Managed Trust Account. Well, if you remember from that ADV form, a separately managed account is one of these custodial accounts where it's managed outside of that investment advisor. Why on earth is this called the Stonebridge SJB Managed Trust Account? This is Louise Taylor's former investment advising firm that she worked at as executive vice president for 9 years. 9 years she worked there. Now she's Britney Spears' business manager. She's ostensibly Britney Spears' accountant, auditor of her estate. She's the person who delivers the accounting reports about which we're going into a hearing, I think tomorrow or the next day or something, maybe like 3 days. She's the one who creates those account reports. Why is her investment advising firm handling this money whenever we heard earlier in the summer from a Britney leak that she said Stonebridge is not related to her and she doesn't have anything to do with them? So if you really think about the perverted nature of this, just disgusting, because everything she does, she charges for. Business manager, accountant, probably friggin' life coach or some other dumb shit. Investment advisor, perhaps. I don't know who's related with this company. I don't know. Did she give up her interest? Did she cash out anytime? I don't know. It is astonishing to me that Stonebridge would be representing that they are going to manage Britney Spears' trust money when the trust money was never supposed to be a part of the conservatorship. Lou Taylor is not supposed to have anything to do with this trust. That's why there's a whole separate trustee. It's a whole separate thing from the conservatorship. They snatched it out from under that Ivan guy, gave Jamie Lynn the reins, and put Lou Taylor in the middleman so she could collect more fees. And you know how I know that? We're going to get there. Here we are, boom. Who is the investment advisor? That's going to be Stonebridge Wealth Management, aka Lou Taylor's old firm she worked at for 9 years. What else are we looking at? So basically, the important part here is actually ends up being the fine print. And in the fine print is where you see these conflicts of interest issues, right? You see them saying like, listen, we actually, this right here part says, we actually, this is to the trustee, right? You don't really have to understand how relationships work together, but if it would be helpful. Jamie Lynn is the trustee, but she has discretion to let someone else manage the money because she's not a financial manager, right? She's just kind of whatever. She hands it off to Lou Taylor. Then she hands it off to Stonebridge Investment Counsel. I don't know if Lou Taylor's affiliated with them anymore. She hands it off to Stonebridge. Then Stonebridge then takes that money and goes to Fidelity with it. And you might be thinking, why would they do that other than just collect fees? Good question. But this is another reason. Fidelity supports the advisor in all of these ways, right? And we already talked about those discounts they get and all kind of other things. They have access to Fidelity's resources and all this stuff. But then they start going into all this stuff about how there's conflicts of interest and there's ways that your investment advisor actually, you need to ask them, like they may be getting fees for managing your money already. They may be getting fees for managing your estate already. So they might be double dipping. And Fidelity's like, look, that's not on us. That's up to you. Y'all got to decide that stuff. All right. So now we did that. The grand shebang here is, it's widely speculated based on all of the things that I just went over that $600 million could be, hypothetically, the cash property from the SJB Trust. And it could be the case, possibly, that Jamie Lynn signed allowing money to be moved as trustee before they actually asked the court to do so. If that's the case, people think that's the case because if you look at this, you already see Stonebridge has attached their fee schedule back here, right? Stonebridge is really the one who applied for this. Look, this is in the back. This is that exhibit. They put their fee schedule on the back. Why would Stonebridge Investment Counsel put their fee schedule on the back? Why would it be called Stonebridge SJB Separately Managed Account? It seems to me, my opinion, which is, just a lay person on the street, that they may have been representing to the court or to Fidelity that they, and by they I mean Stonebridge. Stonebridge was already representing to Fidelity that they already had control of this $600 million. And I'm saying $600 million because of this thing. It could be who knows how much. But that creates a big problem for whoever did this and made this decision. Because either they lied to Fidelity whenever they represented that they have control of this trust before they actually did, or they moved this money illegally. Perjury or money, not laundering, but mismanagement, a gross violation of fiduciary duties, are essentially both maybe criminally punishable. I don't know anything. I'm not a criminal lawyer. I don't know anything. But this creates a real big problem for them. We just saw in that last ADV form that they had $601 million of their dollars in this separate account, right? So, as fate would have it, right as we're about to have an accounting hearing, Stonebridge uploads a new ADV form for this year, and therefore the other one that I wrote all over went away. So this is, I'll just show y'all how I do this. You go to brokercheck.finra.org. If you want to search an individual, you'll go to individual. You want to search a firm, which is, an entity or business. Stonebridge, and they go by wealth management in these professional settings. So that's probably what'll show up. All right. Just make sure the address is the one we want. Yep, sure is. All right, and then they'll send you to the SEC site. It's saying we have this other site. Let's go there. Oops. All right, here we are. If you want to get the ADV form, you click right here. Here we are, new one. I didn't highlight this one, I didn't write on this one. There's only a couple things I want to show y'all. First of all, where's our employees? Oh, it's not searchable. All right. Oh, here we go. Yeah, they are. Okay. Your firm's CRD number, greatest number. Okay. So the amount of employees did change. They're still calling themselves a large. Advisory firm, $100 million or more. And I'm thinking, surely we're going to scroll through here. We're going to see that $600 million. It's just going to be the same amount, surely. So now let's see how many employees now they done hired somebody this year. I don't know if they just got overwhelmed. Maybe it was a social media manager. I don't know what it was. They hired somebody. How many employees do you have? 4. Remember last year was 3. How many of those employees perform investment advisory functions? 2, same as last year. Registered with state securities, same. Okay. Okay, so here is the, oh man, y'all can't see this. Can I make it smaller? No. Okay, I'll just try to keep it. Yeah, I mean, look, you can see it. It's kind of getting cut off, but point is, if you look at this chart, now look, let's go back to this just so y'all can remember. I'm not editing this. It's going to be so excruciating to watch. Sorry. Okay. Here it is from last year. It was filed June 20th, 25th. It was filed June 25th, 2020. Okay. This one we're about to click on again was filed this month. Okay. If you look at this one, look at the money that they have in there. The individuals other than high net worth is $4.3 million. The individuals that are high net worth, $683 million. Now remember, of all that money, $601 million is with Fidelity, right? So they're only really managing some of this. It's also the case that that's exactly what Jamie Lynn wanted to do with that trust money. Take it through Stonebridge, put it in Fidelity, right? Starting to add up here, starting to follow the pattern here. All right. Okay, so here we are this year. Oh, wait, hold on. Why it says they only have, wait, So last year, they had $4 million in that first A category other than high net worth. This year, miraculously, I don't know if it's miraculous, I shouldn't have probably said that, but somehow mysteriously, they have $12 million. So it went up $8 million in that other than high net worth individuals category. I don't know what that's about. And then in the high net worth individuals, remember when it used to be just 1 year, less than a year ago, it was in June, late June, they had $683 million from this high net worth individual category. This year, they only have 114. Now, if you add up 114 and 12 million, I don't know, what's 12 plus 6, 26, 126, maybe like 125 to $130 million under management, right? Well, that's interesting because it looks a lot like what they used to manage before they had this huge influx in 2020 of $600 million. So the grand, conclusion is, after all of that rambling, in 2018, the trust is amended. Jamie Lynn is put in charge. Lou Taylor and Jamie Lynn are tight. They are very well known to be very good friends. Jamie Lynn agrees to be trustee of the trust. They change the trust, allowing for Jamie Lynn to do exactly this scenario, which is take all of the money, perhaps cash assets, hand them over to Lou Taylor's old investment firm, who has a massive conflict of interest because she's her accountant and she's her manager and she's all this other stuff, account reporter. Tells Jamie Lynn, yeah, okay. I don't know if she tells her that. But the situation happens such that trust is amended. A universe is created in which Jamie Lynn can move this money into blocked accounts, thereby creating a universe where Stonebridge Investment Counsel can collect up to 0.5% of fees. If it is $600 million, I had somebody who is better than me run the numbers. Between $4 and $5 million annually in fees would probably be what was to be made here. I would not be surprised if this was the long game from the beginning. $4 to $5 million a year seems like a pretty cushy way to go ahead and retire. 4 to 5 a year, plus what she's making as manager, plus what she's making as accountant, plus what she's making off the percentage of the contracts she negotiates. Who knows? Lou Taylor stands to make money in every single corner of this conservatorship. And she has absolutely no oversight. You know who the oversight is? Mitch Martin, who she's been working with at different financial firms since 2002. He has been listed as president of her company. And then something additionally alarming that I was going to, wait for the right time to drop, but I think we're going to do it now. Remember that 5%, 10% thing where it was like, at first it was like Mitch said he didn't have any out-of-state, non-U.S. individuals type of thing? Let me see if I can find that. Here you go. Well, look at what happened here. Okay, let's see here. Let's go to here. What page is this on? Sorry. This is literally what I do all day, so y'all have to suffer through it for a minute. All right, we're like about that much down. Okay. Oh, we should be right around here. Here, oh, perfect. Okay. So here's the 2021. Approximately what percentage of your clients are non-United States persons, right? What percentage of your clients are not United States? I don't know what United States persons means. I don't know if it means residing in the United States, because the client could be a trust, right? It could be an estate. So it could be an account. I don't know, right? I don't know what the client is. But last year they said 0%. 0%. Look at it right here. 0. Can I highlight it? Please say yes. No. Okay. C2, 0%. This year, 5% of their clients. So this is the number of clients. 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 85 clients. What is 85? What's 5% of 85? What's 5% of 85? So like perhaps 4 clients, non-US, something like that. Okay. Also notice a dramatic increase of like, I don't know, exactly 600-ish million. I don't know. I mean, I obviously I'm not good at math. I'd be asking people, I don't know. $11 million in charitable organizations? Whoa, I'm just seeing this. What on earth? 7 million, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I guess that's not that weird, but like if it's like, I don't know. I actually want to look a lot more into that. I did not notice that. $11 million of their assets under management is in charitable organizations. Maybe there's tax reasons. I don't know. I really don't know. I'll have to look more into that. Okay, so remember that 0, they said last year 0, and this year they said 5%. So the other day I was just, as one does, looking around the internet for more connections to this corruption. And I found a company by the name of Stonebridge Holding. Now, where is it? I need it in Tennessee. Stonebridge Holding Inc. Okay? Who's the registered address? M.S. Martin. Interesting, he goes by Mitch sometimes. Interesting, he goes by Mitchell sometimes and M.S. sometimes. Real confusing. I don't know. Maybe one could be forgiven for thinking he just doesn't want people to be able to Google or search his name as an officer. I don't know. Possible. When was it incorporated? Well, wouldn't you look at that? May 2013. And what other weird stuff was going on in May 2013? Well, the Piece of Me tour. I got a whole thing of it. Hold on. I'm going to tell y'all. All kind of stuff was happening. May 2013 is when Stonebridge changed their address from 215 Brentwood Circle. May 2013 is when Lou Taylor stopped being an investment advisor. May 2013 is when TriStar Investment Council, TriStar Sports and Entertainment changed their address from 215 Brentwood Circle or whatever. A lot of stuff happened in May 2013, and guess what else? The Piece of Me contractor, one of those contracts, like the big Vegas residency or something, was signed right in that same month. And just so happens that Stonebridge Holding Inc. was created at that point. I don't know why. Holding companies, I literally asked a lawyer at my firm the other day, what is a holding company? And like, even he kind of didn't have that great of a explanation. So I think it's just like a confusing thing. A holding company essentially like doesn't have any of its own assets or something. Like it just does what it says. Like just kind of like, I don't know, is a place where money sits. I really don't know what it is, okay? But it was created by Mitchell right at the same time that all this other stuff was hitting the fan, okay? So I'm over here doing my research. I'm like, oh my God, a holding company. I didn't see that before. And then I noticed this in the bottom right corner. Stonebridge Holding Limited, Inc. So it's like kind of like the same name, but LTD. That's the only real difference. Now, I have opened an offshore account before for reasons, not for personal reasons. And we do use the name limited in them. And then you look at it and you see that it's actually a Panamanian company with an extremely similar name other than this LTD. I said, okay, well, let me just go ahead and click on that. And wouldn't you know it, it was actually created November 13th, 2020. Well, that's just 4 months ago. What was going on around November 13th, 2020? Well, I was in Los Angeles just 2 days before that at the Free Britney hearing. There was a rally. And at that rally and at that court date, the judge determined that Bessemer Trust and Company got to be co-conservator with Jamie Spears. And wouldn't you know, just 2 days later, a company called Stonebridge Holding Limited, Inc. is created offshore Panama account. And wouldn't you also know it, I don't know, it just seems like maybe it's just a huge coincidence. It could just be a huge coincidence. It could totally be a huge coincidence. But this chart is going to look like this very soon. And that's going to leave a question remaining, which is, where did that money go? Where did that money come from? Why is it $600 million was going over there to Fidelity through National Financial Services, and Jamie Lynn was asking to do exactly the same thing with Britney's trust? And why is it that Jamie Lynn petitioned to do that in August when the hearing was until November? I can't really answer any of those questions because I would be accusing people of things, but I think one would be forgiven for thinking that it's possible that trust money did get moved before they got legal permission, because they didn't think anybody was going to really know about it. I'm not even like going to go so far as to be like, oh, they did it to hide it or what. I just think maybe they just have been used to doing whatever they want. They didn't think anybody was going to look into this stuff. These ADV forms disappear after a year, you know? Could be the case that all this is totally legal, above the boat, above the, what's it called? Above the belt, above the boat. Could be. I mean, it really could be. I don't want to be like, oh, she accused. No, I mean, I'm just saying, like, here's what I found. Here's what I found in the public record. That's a theory that could work, maybe. I'm not an expert. I'm not a certified specialist. I do not do this type of stuff at work. So it's not, I just don't, I'm just a citizen out here using the SEC and broker check. But this has been an extremely long video, but I think it's actually good that I finally got this all in one thing. So it's like all the financial stuff, like, you know, together. Maybe we'll do like a after party or something, but I really think this is going to take like 2 hours to upload. So in the meantime, just remember, facts are not defamation, and I have not formally or informally accused anyone of any wrongdoing. I have, other than greed, I will accuse them of greed. But yeah, I mean, make your own conclusions, draw your own conclusions. If you found this video, you know, informative, do share it. Don't like feel the need to like subscribe or whatever, but definitely share this content. I think it's really important and it needs to get out. So yeah, I'll see y'all later. Thanks for sticking around. We'll see where it goes. Bye.